Okay, so can you hear me? Okay. So, hi, this is Pantar Zayan, one of the primary care and the cardiometabolic physician at Torrance Memorial. It's my honor and pleasure to be the moderator of today's very important lecture on the stress. As you all may know, that stress is a part of our life, like it or not. So you just wake up in the morning, rushing to go to work, and then all the traffic jams, and then the people driving crazy is stress, right? And then you arrive at home, and your boss start just welcoming you with more tasks and assignment to do, and then why you are not on time, why this and that, and then the things happen, at work, and then you are going back home, the same story and same story. At home, that's the time that you can kind of a little bit of rest, right? And guess what? You turn on the TV or news, and boom, that's full of stress. As a cardiometabolic physician, I'm always instructing my patient to measure the blood pressure at home, and how to measure the blood pressure correctly according to American Heart Association, right? So one thing is that I'm telling all of my patients, you need to sit, relax for 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes, you do not talking with anybody, not listening to anybody, not looking on any social media, but more importantly, you are not turning on TV or news, because your blood pressure will go up no matter what, right? So my point is, the stress is a part of our life that we cannot avoid it, not too much of that we can avoid, but we need to learn how to deal with and how to control our response to the stress, to decrease the side effect and consequences. So as a person that is really interested in the primary prevention of cardiovascular disease as a #1 cause of the death in the world, so I want to focus on the impacts of stress on the area that is my expertise and my interest. You know that if you are under the stress, it's not only your emotional health and feeling has been disturbed. If your blood pressure going up, your heart, the inflammation reaction in your body, the actual biomarkers or the molecules in your body will be secreted that increase the inflammation and increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, rupture the plaque inside the vessels, causing some of the things that you probably heard. They call it broken heart, cardiomyopathy, or the heart issue, and so on and so on and so on. So unfortunately, the impacts of the stress on our health, I would say, not well addressed, and is mostly underdiagnosed as well, because we mostly thinking is very limited to how you feel. But we don't know it does directly impact your health, your physical health as well, and then has a very prolonged consequences. So with that brief introduction, in MOL, Miracle of Living, we decided to this month discuss about that very important aspects of the health. And we have 3 very knowledgeable experts here. So I would start with our first speaker, and I would introduce our first speaker, which I'm honored to know him for last 7 years. Dr. Mo Gilbert is the licensed clinical psychologist, a graduate of the University of Southern California, and has been practicing since 1976. As the executive director and one of the founders of Thelma Macmillan Recovery Center, he has the expertise in alcohol and substance abuse, is certified by the American Psychological Association in the treatment of substance abuse. Dr. Gilbert has a wide experience in the workplace violence and stress, managed care issue, chronic pain, and work with the adolescents and adults in individual, couple, and group therapy. In addition, he treats anxiety, depressive disorder, and relationships. Since 2021, he has taken on the role of the director of the behavioral health at the Torrance Memorial, using his expertise to better serve the community in improving mental health awareness and services. So please join me warmly welcoming Dr. Gilbert.
Hello, thanks for being here. Let me just get set up. 1 second. Mitchell. Hold on 1 second. What? Bottom button. Talk about stress.
Yeah.
This is really just an act. Mitch? What did I do? Is it on there?
That's interesting.
There we go.
No, no. That is interesting. That should be. That's really weird. Oh.
Now it's not an act.
Give me a second. Let's see what happens. What happened within the last 10 minutes? It's not the signal.
That's what.
What was the menu? Here, let me get out of here real quick. See if it shows anything.
Something happening.
Right. Give me a hot second. All right. Sorry, folks. Give me 2 seconds here.
1 minute.
That should.
Oh. Got it. How about that? So, thank you for being here. Can you hear me if I speak in here? Okay. I appreciate you all coming out tonight. Today's topic is something you all know a lot about, you all have firsthand experience of, and that is stress, modern day stress. I've been a psychologist for 45 years. I've been working with how stress affects the mind and body. I'm going to cover why stress and the effects of stress have become such a big factor in our health, in our lives, and then cover some tools for coping with what, again, we'll call modern day stress. So stress has been a factor since humans walked on this planet, okay? Probably you've all heard of the fight or flight response. I think that's our next thing. The fight or flight response is an ingrained automatic response that the body has to deal with a threat that comes in front of you. Like in this case, I don't know if that's a tiger, but something, let's call it a tiger, gets in front of the caveman and he sees it and he says, okay, I either have two choices, run or fight. And the body takes care, it's uniquely and exquisitely prepared to take care of this. All kinds of things happen without thinking about it. So the body goes into action, called the fight or flight response. There's a perceived threat. The amygdala part of the brain releases stress hormones, and then all kinds of things happen within the body. Your heart rate increases, the blood flows from your extremities, your feet and your fingertips into your cavity to give you more blood to your muscles and your heart beating. You start sweating, so your body cools you down. You might have bowel movements, without wanting to, because that again allows you to have more energy and not have, digesting food and so on. So the body again is uniquely prepared to take care of this fight or flight response. And then interestingly, so here we have the tiger. If the caveman starts running away, decides to run, he runs through the woods, he runs through the jungle, branches hit him on the head, his feet, hit rocks. He doesn't stop and go, ouch, that really hurts. He keeps going. Then he jumps, climbs up a tree, and when he's up on top and the tiger goes away, all of a sudden all the aches and pains start coming to him. So that's, again, the beauty of that. We wouldn't be here, we wouldn't have survived without the beauty of this automatic response to a stressful event. This is, again, a little more complicated, a little more complex of a figure, but again, the immune system is repressed in this fight or flight response. The heart beats, pumps blood. The endocrine system pumps out adrenaline so you can keep going. Your lungs, breathing becomes faster and shallower, so you have more oxygen to you. Again, I can go on, but it's all, again, a survival built-in mechanism. And again, we would not be here if it were not for this autonomic fight or flight response. However, as the years have gone by, one huge difference, again, we've evolved, okay? We've evolved. And with the evolution, great things. Our brains have become complex. Our brains have been able to think things and create things and have computers and have AI coming and all the great things. But in regards to our stress level, it's actually been really bad, really terrible things. And the reason for that is when we think of the caveman, he actually had to have a real stress in front of him. The caveman never thought about, what if a tiger shows up tomorrow? What if my partner gets sick? What if I don't have enough food? And by the way, I'm going to come back to this what if, because it's a big part of this stress reaction. In other words, something had to be present. But now, we don't need anything present in order to have problems, in order to have a stressful response. I'll get into the what ifs in a little bit, but we think now, as Dr. Rezin said, what if I get fired from my job tomorrow? What if my wife leaves me? What if my kids are on drugs? What if something really terrible happens to me? And when that happens, by the way, we create our own stress. Our bodies, by the way, do the exact same thing, whether it's real or imagined. That is the key. That is the trick. That's the trick in this. So we're constantly putting our bodies through stress responses, all that heart and lungs and endocrine system I showed you, even when a real stress doesn't occur. Let me give you a few examples. Oop, not a great picture, but you can make that out. Police car, you're driving down the street, when you come home tonight, on your way home tonight, you're driving down the street, and behind you, you see this. What do you feel or think? You can yell it out. What? Oh, I'm in trouble. Your body tenses, your hands grip that steering wheel a little harder. All that stress response I told you, that's natural and normal, goes into action automatically. You have a stress in front of you. And then what happens is the police car passes you and goes on to the next guy and pulls him over, and you go, ah. However, your body has actually gone through that whole stress response with an imagined stress that it occurred, but it didn't really occur in the way you felt. So doing this all day, it takes a toll on your body. It's sort of like, I look at it like, it's like as if, I brought my little thing, you have a rubber band, oops. You have a rubber band, and the police car's behind you. and something else you think and worry about, and something else you worry about, and you worry about. What's going to happen if I keep doing this? Okay, it's going to snap. So somewhere in your body, there will be a break of some sort. And that all comes from this what if and the worry and the imaginary stress on top of the real stressors that we have. And eventually, eventually it'll snap in its weakest spot, as I said. And as Dr. Rezian said, a host of medical, physical problems as a result. Headaches, heartburn, heart attack problems, pounding heart, fertility issues, erectile dysfunction. I mean, almost any part of your body can be affected negatively by chronic and ongoing stress. So what we need to do is let the rubber band and go from here regularly during the day and come back to here. And then it's going to get stressed out again because that's life. And if we can, bring it back. And you'll be hearing some of that from our speakers soon, how to do that in terms of a physical reaction. But it's really important to not just keep piling stress on yourself. So let's look and understand the process of stress and anxiety so we can begin to adapt strategies to deal with it. So there are three components of stress as I see it. One are stressors. In other words, what's happening out there? They could be real, magnified, or imagined. For example, there's things happen at work, financially, relationship-wise, events, educationally, and much, much more of these things are stressors. So that's one factor in regards to this stress response. Next, we have thoughts and feelings about those stressful responses. Okay, so I have stress at work. How does it filter through my brain, my thinking, and how does that affect me? And then we have our body reacts. Like I said, tense muscles, pain, heart conditions, and so on. Now, we can try to change. We can try to make a change in any three of these any of these three areas. We can try to change the stressor. Like my job is providing stress. Well, I'll get a new job. My wife's providing stress. I'll get a new wife. Joking. But the reality is, changing the stressors are not easy. They can be done at times, but two things. One, sometimes they're not practical, and sometimes they're difficult. And two, which is part of what I'm going to get into in a moment, is when you change your stressor, like you change your job, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So whatever you brought to that table, unless you work on it and make some changes, you're bringing that issue with you to the next job. So you have to be aware of that. You can work on your perception or your attitude, your thoughts, which is what I'm going to focus on in the remaining time I have. And you may have heard of cognitive behavior therapy, which is a way of changing the way you think so that you can change the way you feel. So let's talk about that for a minute. Cognitive behavior therapy. How many have ever heard of cognitive behavior therapy? Wow, great. Okay. I personally think all therapy, all psychotherapy, all counseling is cognitive behavior therapy. Because the purpose of, there may be some techniques specific to cognitive behavior therapy, but the purpose of any counseling is to take a look at how you think, and if you can adjust your thinking, you can adjust your feeling. Does that make sense? I'll give you some examples. Stressors, go on. Thoughts create feelings, feelings create behavior, behaviors reinforce thoughts. So let me give you an example what this feeling is like. Magic bus. Okay, imagine for a moment you're on a bus, Sunday morning. This is going to show you how old I am, because people don't take buses, they take Waymos. And so imagine you're on your bus and you're reading your newspaper, and I know people don't read newspapers, they look at their cell phone. So you're on this bus and you're reading a newspaper, it's Sunday morning, you're the only person on the bus, and you're drinking your coffee. Bus comes to a stop and a man gets on with his two kids. The man goes to the back of the bus, puts his head down, the kids are laughing, running around, running all over, making noise, bumping into you, knocking your coffee off a little bit, banging into your newspaper, guy sitting back there. So let me ask you, and just shout it out, what are you feeling? Annoyed, angry? I'm sorry, what? Most of the time, most people will say angry, whatever it is, your feelings are correct. But most people say angry, agitated, etc. And now look at the connection to thinking. You feel that way because what are you thinking?
Punching the guy in the face.
Well, that's your action, but what are you thinking about what's happening?
I should take care of it.
Okay, the man should be taking care of his kids. Now, okay, so now I have a thought, this guy should be taking care of his kids, and now I have a feeling. I'm mad, I'm angry. Now the guy looks up and he says, oh, I'm sorry, we just left the hospital. We saw their mother, my wife, for the last time, and I don't know what I'm gonna do when we go home. And he puts his head back down, and the kids are still running around doing the exact same behavior, knocking into you, knocking your coffee over. What are you feeling? Okay, sorry, sad. And notice the actions are still all the same, but your feelings are different because you have new information. Okay, so the point is how we think about things creates how we feel. 1 second. Oh, talk too much and I lost my little, oh, there we go. Let me give you another quick example. I'm running out of time already, whoa. I'll make this quick. Okay, boss calls 5 people down to his office at 3 o'clock and says 2 words, you're fired. Okay? Now, if he took a hammer and hit each of these 5 people in the head, they'd go, ouch, ouch. They'd all feel the same thing, right? But he says 2 words to all 5, and they have 5 different reactions. Person 1's, oh my God, I'm gonna kill myself. This is the worst thing that ever happened. I'm never gonna get another job. Person 2 says, yeah, I'm gonna kill you. I've put all these years into this job. Person 3 says, I'm scared to death. Person 4 says, thank God, I hate this job. You did me a favor. And person 5 doesn't care. So now, 2 weeks later, you hear person 1, let's call him Joe. You heard, hey, did you hear about Joe? No, what happened to Joe? Joe killed himself. Killed himself. Why did he kill himself? Killed himself because he lost his job. Guess what? That's not why Joe killed himself. Joe killed himself because the meaning he gave to losing his job. Because if losing a job meant killing yourself, all 5 would have killed themselves. So if we could have gotten Joe in counseling, we would have helped him see things differently, and then he would have felt differently if we were successful. Does that make sense? You understand this concept? Okay. So we know that our attitude, our perception, how we see things affect our stress levels. And our feelings often create unnecessary stress or magnify stress that exists. So the question again for the remaining time is how can we work on some of this? So the first thing I want to talk to you about is, changing thoughts is not easy. It's not easy to say, I'm depressed. You know what? I'm going to tell myself I'm not depressed. Okay, you know what? That's not going to work. So we have to it's a little bit more refined than that. First, we have to recognize something we call catastrophizing, where we go into the world of what if. What if is a killer for stress. In other words, what if I lose my job? Wow. Well, what if I lose my job and what if I can't pay my mortgage? Wow. Well, if I can't pay my mortgage, what if my family leaves me? Wow. Well, what if my family leaves me and I'm all alone and have nowhere to live? Wow. Well, what if I have nowhere to live and I wind up in a cardboard box under the freeway? You follow what I'm saying? We go down this rabbit hole of what if, and before we know it, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm living under the box in the freeway. When I work with people, I call this the what if syndrome, and I tell them if you hear yourself going down this what if road, stop. Tell yourself stop. And I suggest many people, hope this will be a takeaway for you. When you leave, remember if you hear yourself into the what ifs, meaning you're off in the future about something that hasn't happened, just replace one word. Replace if with is. So ask yourself, what is? And what is means something that's happening in the present and something you can do something about. Okay, so if you hear yourself falling into the what ifs, ask yourself what is, and then start looking at the things you can do something about. What if is something that for the most part is off in the future and is not something you can impact or affect. Okay, another essential tool for dealing with negative stress-producing thinking is to recognize and challenge what's called distorted thinking. And it comes in the shape generally of, if you hear yourself saying things like always, have to, must, should, generally you have these absolute all or none thinking patterns, and you're going to wind up with a stressful situation. And you have to learn how to adjust that kind of all or none thinking. So for example, let's look at these phrases. I always mess things up. Why is it a problem? It's an overgeneralization. One mistake becomes a blanket statement. Nothing ever goes right for me. Notice again, all or none. That's again an all or none thinking. Everyone hates me. It's mind reading, overgeneralization. It assumes other people's thinking. I can't do anything right. It's all my fault. It's a personalization, taking all the blame. I'll never get better. I have to be perfect. I'll go through these a little quickly. If I fail, I'm worthless. They should treat me better. This always happens to me. Some of these are pretty common thoughts for some of us, correct? Now, the goal is to try to take these all or none, black or white thoughts and words. Words can sometimes create the narrative in our head, and take those words and I call it dilute it, make them live in the gray area. So for example, another example I use is if you have a child, could even be an adult child, and they come to you and say one of these like, everyone hates me. You're not going to say to them, you're right, everyone hates you. You're going to treat your child, maybe you do. You're going to treat your child well. You're probably going to say something like, well, everybody doesn't hate you. Maybe one person doesn't like you so much, but most people like you, and some people may not care one way or the other, but the majority, you're going to do something about watering it down. And by the way, when we do that watering down, our feelings change. So let me do a little with you. Take the first one. I always mess things up. What would be a more appropriate way of changing that distorted thinking? What would be a better sentence? What? Perfect. Occasionally I mess things up. I don't mess everything up. In fact, most of the things I do pretty well. That would be a more true statement. What about nothing ever goes right for me?
That's baloney.
Well, what would be a better way of saying it? Sometimes things don't go right. Sometimes they go wrong. Most of the time things are pretty good. Again, you have to be real. You have to be able to believe these things. You can't fool yourself. I can't do anything right. What would be an alternative?
I have problems with something.
Exactly. So you get I'm not going to go through every one, but you get an idea that the goal is to take away those absolutes and the have-tos and the musts and put them more in the gray. We call it sometimes, like the word should is a really tough word to use on yourself. So we say, don't should on yourself. Excuse me. Some of you didn't get that. Okay. Hold on. This next slide is just, you've already answered most of them, but these are just reframed and saying these kinds of things in a better way, just like you just did. So we have to learn, like I said, to dilute these messages that we put in our head that cause us to experience stress. Another foundation of mental health and living less stressful is learning what you can control and letting go of things you have no control of. I've been a psychologist in the community for over 45 years. In some way, the majority of people, I'm going to get a hook soon, 1 second. No music, Mitch. In some ways, the majority of people that come to see me are trying to control things they have no control over, and they're suffering from that. So again, it's really important, as this little slide shows, what are the things outside my control? Other people's thoughts, other people's play, other people's actions, other people's feelings, other people's behavior, other people's ideas. What are you noticing is what's out of my control? Yeah, what other people do. What's in my control? My thoughts, my actions, my feelings, my opinions, my words, my play. So when you're finding yourself stressed out and thinking about stressful things, take a break again for a moment and say, what part of this issue is in my control and what's not in my control? And the things that are outside of your control, I know it's as easy to say, but let them go. okay? And try to work on the things that are in your control. So in summary, there are stressors, perceptions of stressors, and physical reactions. And in a moment, you're going to learn about dealing with these physical reactions. You can make an intervention at any point in this pattern. And remember that how you see things makes a difference in your stress response. You know, basically, it's as simple as if you see the glass half empty, you're going to feel down and unhappy and negative. If you see the glass half full, then you can feel up and positive. What's the trick? The trick is the water in the glass doesn't have to change, okay? The water in the glass doesn't change at all for you to see it half full rather than half empty. Or as this says, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. So with that, I think I'll leave it. I have one other, well, I'll take a minute. This is worth listening to. It's an example of changing how you see things, reframing it. So I'm going to read this to you, okay? Today was the absolute worst day ever. And don't try to convince me that there's something good in every day. Because when you take a closer look, this world is a pretty evil place. Even if some goodness does shine through once in a while, satisfaction and happiness don't last. And it's not true that it's all in the mind and heart, because true happiness can be obtained only if one's surroundings are good. It's not true that good exists. I'm sure you can agree that reality creates my attitude. It's all beyond my control, and you'll never in a million years hear me say that today was a good day. Sounds pretty negative, right? Okay, I'm going to read the same thing backward. So I'll read it from the bottom up. So it says, today was a good day, and you'll never in a million years hear me say that it's all beyond my control. My attitude creates the reality. I'm sure you can agree that it's not true that good exists only if one's surroundings are good. True happiness can be obtained because it's all in the mind and heart. And it's not true that satisfaction and happiness don't last. Some goodness does shine through once in a while, even if this world is a pretty evil place. Because when you take a closer look, there's something good in every day. And don't try to convince me that today was the absolute worst day ever. Isn't that cool? Okay, thank you.
Wow, wow, such a great lecture. Every single slide that Dr. Gilbert was showing us was related to what's, my life, my personal life. And it was amazing. It was really amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Gilbert. So, but I have a good news for you. Dr. Gilbert is not the only great speaker we have today. We have Laura here, who is a writer and so many more. So we have Laura. He's the freelance writer and former magazine editor for the multiple publications, including New York Times and LA Times. Laura helped launch at the ACS magazine and Pulse magazine for Torrance Memorial Medical Center. She continued to write for Pulse and Advantage magazines. Laura has written The Art of Flow, Mindful Mini Meditations, and the book on mini yoga breaks. Laura has the teaching yoga for over 11 years and has also led the wellness retreat at Canyon Ranch. So please join me in welcome Mrs. Laura. She is amazing and you will enjoy her lecture.
Hi, it's lovely to be here. It's hard to follow up. Wasn't he wonderful? Doctor, thank you. So I'm honored to be here. I am a yoga and meditation teacher, as well as a health and wellness writer. And I've been writing about health and wellness for a very, very long time. So I love to marry the East meets West mentality, right? So in every yoga class I teach, I often can marry and bring in, I just wrote about this clinical trial, this study that shows people who meditate 5 minutes a day lowered their cortisol levels. They lowered their blood pressure. They lowered their need for diabetes medicine, all those sort of things, right? And so it's fun to bring the two together because that's the way I work. I like to experience it, but then I want to read more, right, about how it works. So some slides were created, not by me, but by this lovely woman that I also work with. And let me bring these up. Oh, there's Dr. Gilbert. Thank you again. So the benefits of yoga and breath work. So I also have just recently started working with Miss Susan Starr at the Integrative Oncology at Hunt Cancer Center, and we have a booth in the back as well, so please visit that. I'm just going to give them a little plug. If you happen to have ever been a patient at Hunt Cancer Center, or if you know anyone, we have some lovely free classes coming up, and Fabiana in the back can tell you about that. So yoga is a mind-body practice. And how many out here have ever done a yoga class? Oh, awesome. Nice. So you all probably did a different form of yoga, which is interesting. There are many forms of yoga. Some are very vigorous, some are hot, some are chair, which you will enjoy later. And so one of the things that all yoga classes have in common is the mind-body connection, right? So the physical part of yoga is just one aspect. There are 8 limbs of yoga, and it's all to help you connect your mind to your body. So what Dr. Gilbert explained so beautifully is the fight or flight response. So when we're in that fight or flight response, and that area of our brain is activated, other areas of our brain are deactivated. So we're in that area of, oh, I'm running away from a tiger, but there's no tiger. And a lot of us have chronic stress in this modern society. And chronic stress is something we just live with. We're sort of used to a certain level of stress. I know a lot of parents know about that. I'm juggling lots of things. And so we get used to a certain level of stress, and that's when, how many of you out here have had kind of a stressful day in the car? You don't know you're stressed, but your knuckles are white because you're white knuckling the wheel, and your shoulders are up to your ears, and then your neck's hurting. And then by the time you get home, maybe your partner or your child, or maybe even your dog is like whimpering, wanting to go out, and you snap at them. Have you ever had that experience? Okay, so you're not necessarily living with intention, you're living with reaction. Does that make sense? And so yoga, which usually incorporates breath work and meditation, helps you to deactivate the amygdala and activate those areas of the brain that help you respond with intention. They help you with focus, with clarity. They help you, it also helps you with your memory. So we're going to get into some other things. So right here it says it's a mental practice as well as relaxation that combines mindfulness, which is something that was really created by John Kabat-Zinn. He's one of my mentors, who worked at another hospital. And mindfulness, he created that term. Now we throw that around everywhere. Let's do something mindfully. But I think we don't always necessarily know what that means. It's being in the present moment. So it is taking the what if scenario that Dr. Gilbert was talking about, what is right here in front of me. And then that can help you sort of deactivate all these things in the mind that are really phantom fears. So when you get able to focus on your breath and connect to your body is miraculous. It'll almost tell you what's going on. You get that crick in your neck, you're white knuckling the wheel, your stomach hurts, your low back hurts. It's your body telling you, take care of me. But really that means something is going on in your mind too. It's completely connected. And we're going to do a little experiment in a few minutes where the breath can help you relax. 3 breaths. Studies show 3 deep breaths can help you relax enough to sort of center yourself. So we'll do that too. But once you begin to start this journey You don't have to go to a yoga studio. You don't have to drive an hour or 30 minutes, work out an hour, and drive 30 minutes home every single day of the week. That's not always realistic for everyone. This can actually be something that you can incorporate in your day with little mini breaks, which my books are a little bit about. And it gives you a little bit more control. I can squeeze this in when I need to. I can do a little break. I can do a little breath break. I can do a little tiny mini yoga flow is what I'm talking about. And when you do these things, multiple studies show that it reduces your anxiety, it reduces feelings of depression, it reduces stress, and it can also, some of these really miracles that we're learning is it can lower your feelings of pain. So if you're in the hospital, let's say you're having surgery, then oftentimes if you do a little bit of breath work, a little meditation, Fabiana can also talk to you a little bit of essential oils. And in my yoga class, we always use essential oils too. It's one of the things that we often do. It helps you relax. And when you relax, sometimes your knee-jerk reaction of needing more medication goes down. It also helps you, many studies have shown that it helps you rebound quicker from surgery, which is wonderful. You're not on those pain meds as longer. And then you're also in a positive state, which means that I can. Oh yeah, I maybe, you had your hip replaced and it's really hurting, but I'm gonna get better. These thoughts start to increase in your mind. So it feels less trepidatious to you to go to physical therapy. And so the studies are showing that people actually recover a little bit quicker as well when they incorporate just some deep breaths and a little bit of yoga or meditation. So the pain, the fatigue, and nausea and sleep issues, MD Anderson had multiple studies that showed that little things like this incorporated in your life can really make a big difference. There we go. So yoga is also, like I talked, it was 8 limbs. I'm not going to bore you with all 8, but most people focus on the exercise component. So even when you do gentle yoga, you are helping with your blood flow. You are helping open up connective tissues, which we'll talk about in a minute when I give you a little demonstration. So it opens up main areas of connective tissues, which I call the main connective tissue highways, that can help you with your lymph and can help you reduce inflammation. So 15% of our blood flow is in our lymph system, and that's really where your cellular debris goes. So when you're really tight and your shoulders are up in your ears and you're sitting a lot, you often don't flow the cellular debris out of your body. So you're more prone to flus and colds and inflammation. So there's other things that you can do as well. There's Tai Chi. That's also a wonderful flowing sort of exercise. And it helps the patients cope with their recovery, as I mentioned, and their overall quality of life, which really means your spiritual aspect. So the quality of life that I look at is your emotional, your spiritual, and how your mindset, how you're viewing, like, is the glass half full, is the glass half empty, right? So it's all combined. So the research about yoga and cancer, I'm going to skip over this because we really sort of talked a little bit about that already. Here we go. Nope, you don't need that. So I know, I don't want to talk about me rather much. So tell me about, how many of you have heard about breath work? Yay, that makes me so happy. It is one of the easiest things that you can do in life. And yet a lot of people haven't really heard about it or have different preconceived notions about what it is. So, but let's talk about the benefits because I'm going to run you through a little breathwork exercise. So diaphragmatic breath, which we're going to do today. How fun. It lowers stress and anxiety. It calms the parasympathetic nervous system and it reduces cortisol. So I'm sure all of you have heard about cortisol, which is wonderful if you are having an emergency. You get focused. You know, if a car ran over your child's leg, you could even maybe, with adrenaline and cortisol running, pumping through your body, you could maybe even lift that car up, right? So there's wonderful things that we need with a little bit of stress in our life. But when we have chronic stress, that's when the inflammation starts, which is sort of the root of most disease. So you can reduce cortisol, heart rate slows, you enhance the flow of oxygen to your cells and your brain, and that benefits long-term focus and attention and memory. It's wonderful for that. So, and then your relief is felt instantly. So you want to make it a consistent practice because it eases tension, improves sleep, it boosts your mood, clarity, feeling, and well-being. Do you guys want to give it a try? Yeah? Okay, awesome. I have to move over here now, okay? So I'll see you in a minute. All right. Okay, so with breath work, you don't have to make funny sounds. You can even be in a car, right? This is what I tell my yoga students. I do teach one gentle yoga class a week at the hospital, Mondays at 4, and you're welcome to join anytime. It's by Zoom. So what I'm always telling my students, and I have to talk really closely in this mic so I look a little uncomfortable. Usually you're very comfortable in breath work, is that you can even just roll your shoulders a couple times. So everybody uncross your legs. I see a lot of crossed feet. Uncross your legs just to feel stability. Put your feet on the ground. Your hands are on your lap. And even if you tap your hands a little bit, it sort of calms you down. Wiggle your fingers, tap them, tap your toes, and stop. I want you guys to roll your shoulders a few times. Just gets you in that relaxed mood. And then settle back into your chair. Push your shoulders into your chair. I'm not, because I want you to hear me. And then inhale, shoulders to your ears. Squeeze your shoulder blades together like you have a walnut between them. Hold them for 3, 2, 1, relax them. Good. All right. Now, your mouth is closed, your teeth are not clenched. I want you to relax your belly, especially the ladies. Don't hold it in right now, right? Okay. Now inhale, let your belly rise like dough, ribs expand, diaphragm lowers, full lungs, keep breathing, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale out of your mouth, like steam out of a kettle, let it go, let it out, don't hold on to it. We're gonna do that again. Inhale, breathing, belly rises like dough, ribs expand, diaphragm lowers, full lungs, keep going, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale out of your mouth. H-ah-ha sound. Let it go. Let it out. Soften the belly. Soften the jaw. Pause. Inhale, breathing through the nose. Let the belly rise. Ribs expand. Full lungs. Chin up just a little bit for a few of you. Keep holding. Pippin just a little bit more. What are you bringing in this Wednesday? Bring in some love, some light. And exhale out of your mouth. H-ah-ha sound. Relax your shoulders, your jaw. Wiggle your fingers. Tap your toes. Good. How many of you feel a little bit more relaxed? A little bit, little bit, little bit? Okay, good. That sounds good. So I want to do another exercise with you, and this is diaphragm breathing. So this was taught to me, believe it or not. I'm a yoga teacher with lots of trainings, but it wasn't in one of my trainings. This was taught to me by my OB-GYN when I was pregnant, because his daughter is a very famous opera singer. I used to live in London. And he said, this is opera breathing and you need it. Because, sorry guys, but for women especially, a lot of us, if we've had babies, we know this. The diaphragm goes up really high when you're pregnant and the baby goes out. And then you're, because you don't have as much oxygen space in your lungs. Well, when you're stressed, your diaphragm actually goes up. So it doesn't matter whether you're growing a baby or not, your diaphragm goes up and your breath is short because you're doing a lot of mouth breathing when you're stressed. And that makes your heart rate work. Your heart has to work faster. And some of us have some issues with that, right? So when we slow our breath and we slow our heart rate, everything works better and oxygen flows a little bit better to all of our cells. So guess what we get to do? We get to stand up. You guys ready? We're gonna do some diaphragm breathing. Okay, so let's stand up. You can do it with me. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, awesome, awesome, I did it. Okay, so number 11 with your feet, roll your shoulders again. I know I'm leaning down so you can hear me, but you have chin up, right? You imagine a divine string holding your head up. All right, so this is belly breathing, and it's gonna lower your diaphragm. And anytime you're feeling really overwhelmed, you can do this, okay? Even in your car, you'll learn to do this. But I'm gonna teach you with your hands right here, just for this demonstration. You don't have to have your hands here, but we're gonna pretend. Okay, so right here, kind of where, for the ladies, your bra might strap. For the guys, it's just right up above your belly button, about 2-3 inches. Just pretend like there's a book on your hands. Roll your shoulders back, lift your head up, and press into your big toes. Okay, so hold your hands out like this because we're gonna push that book away from us. Ready? All right, inhale, soften the belly and try to push your hands away with the belly. Your belly's gonna get soft and round. And as you exhale, imagine your hands getting heavier and pushing the book down towards your belly button. Good. Inhale, send the book out. Really round the belly, don't worry about holding it in. And then exhale, let it fall softly in and out of your nose, right? Inhale, push that imaginary book out. You can even do it with a block at home. Exhale, let it go down. Now I'm gonna count and do it. Ready? Inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more. Inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale softly. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just place your hands over your heart center and just notice how you feel. If you felt that lowering of stress, that allows your diaphragm to lower. It allows you to get more oxygen into your lungs. And when I say put your hands on your heart space, I feel after deep breathing, I'm able to get out of the monkey mind and into my heart, into my intentions, right? So just take a deep breath into that heart space and just set an intention for your day, for your week. And it can be something as simple as drinking more water or maybe pausing before reacting. Take a deep breath in. Let your shoulders rise to your ears. Squeeze your shoulder blades together for 3, 2, 1. Exhale out of your mouth. Good. Wiggle your fingers. Roll your shoulders. Wonderful. And you guys can take another seat, okay? I'm going to get an angle for you. So I think my time is almost up, but raise your hands if that breathing helped you sort of settle into your body a little more, do you think? Yeah? Excellent, excellent. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about meditation as well. How many of you in here meditate? Okay, so meditation for some people has a connotation of, oh, I don't have time to meditate. I've got to have 15, 20, 30 minutes in my day. But actually studies have shown, I have more slides, but I'm not going to get up. Studies have shown that just 5 minutes of meditation lowers your stress levels. It lowers your cortisol. It can actually improve and balance some of your sugar, your insulin levels. It's pretty interesting, right? And over time, a steady meditation practice can actually lower your risk for dementia. It helps with your focus. It helps with your memory. So it's a pretty miraculous thing. And in other ways, it can also help with your relationships because you begin to calm down and not sweat the small stuff. You begin to be more accepting of yourself and others. It's easier for you to let people off the hook when you meditate more. Meaning like kind of what Dr. Gelbert was talking about, like you see someone on the bus misbehaving. When you meditate, you think, after a while you get into this mindset of like, maybe they're having a bad day. Not gonna worry about it. If I'm late for work, it's not the end of the world, right? You start to get into a different sort of flow. So you might have seen that I'm giving away some some books tonight. So I'm the author of the Art of Flow series because I try to flow in life. I'm not perfect, but I try to flow a little bit. You know how water, when it's rolling through boulders, it doesn't crash against them. It gets soft, it goes around them, right? So it's the mindset of finding opportunities through every struggle, right? So you can take 5 minutes out of your day to even visualize. That's a meditation. You can visualize your favorite spot, your favorite garden, your favorite vacation you've ever had, and you visualize yourself there. You can close your eyes and feel the salt air, see the cliffs, right? You can maybe imagine, your favorite people with you, and just even a 2 to 3 minute visualization of a really calming place. Your body doesn't know whether you really went there or not, and your body calms down, and you begin to get into a cool rhythm. So if you find yourself doing this, just once a day, you'll start your day with sort of a happy vibe, which is a good place to be. And then if you take a couple of deep breaths and set an intention, today I'd like to live in my intention instead of my reaction, and then set an intention. Maybe I'll do someone a kind turn without asking for anything in return. Just see how your day starts to flow in the right momentum, instead of in what Dr. Gilbert was talking about, the what if momentum, right? Because we can create our own momentum. So I think I'm out of time. Instead of leading you in a meditation, because then you might get too sleepy to do some fun chair yoga with my friend Charmone, just consider looking at the different ways you can meditate, because it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to sit crisscross applesauce and sit for 30 minutes. You can even just deep breathe into your heart space and inhale and mentally say, so. And you can exhale and mentally say, hum, which means I am. And just do that for 5 minutes and see how you feel. And I encourage you to look up apps. When I was first meditating, I needed music and I needed someone to guide me. And so there are many, many apps out there now. And so you want to find someone whose voice doesn't annoy you if you're being guided, right? You want to find someone who you feel, okay, great. And so feel free to look up any of these. And then also in the Art of Flow mini meditations, I'm giving away two books tonight. I have some of my visualizations, visualized meditations. And so that may help you take a little journey, especially if you're not going to be taking many trips this summer. You can take a little vista on your own. So with that said, thank you for letting me share some things with you. Do you guys have any questions about breathwork or meditation while I'm here? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to leave you in Charmone's hands for some chair yoga. Okay? Thank you.
That was amazing. See, I told you she's amazing. So, and next person is actually one of my very good friend and colleague and board member of the MOL meeting, so MOL lecture. So I learned about Charmone when 7 years ago I joined to the Miracle of Living board and board committee, and then Charmone has a master's degree in gerontology and has taught a variety of the classes for over 50% crowds in the South Bay area. Currently, she teaches the chair yoga for the strength and balance in the Torrance Memorial Health Education Program. Other classes she offers is the brain games and caregiver programs. Please help me, welcome Charmone, and Charmone will help us to learn a little bit more about chair yoga.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the world of yoga and relaxation today, right? So I teach the chair yoga for strength and balance here in Torrance Memorial in the health education program. And there are a number of other classes that are taught in yoga classes, including Laura's, and we do have that information out in the front. But today what I really would like to do is do some, like you did some breathing and meditation with Laura. I would like to have as many people that can and are able to do some of the stretches that we do. In chair yoga, the good part of it is you start out in a chair. So many people would like to take yoga, but they don't want to get down on the floor and get back up, right? So this is a nice alternative that was more or less developed about 15 years ago. You see more chair yoga classes today. So it's something that just about everyone can do. In the class, we do a lot of stretching. We do some of the breathing and relaxation techniques. We start out in the chair, and then at some point we stand up and get behind the chair and use the chair as a prop. So, and that's always optional. And I always tell everyone in our class, everything we do is optional. So anything we do tonight is up to you if you'd like to participate in that. And to begin with, I would like to just ask if you'd like to participate, see if you can get more room for yourself if you need to pull your chair back. Or just, see it's a little, I know everybody's a little bit close, but if you get some area there that you can move in, that's what's important. And even if you're doing a little bit of movement, that will be helpful. I'm going to put the music on. Okay, so first get that comfortable sitting stance. How's that? Both legs on the floor, both feet on the floor, and begin to just feel your sit bones right underneath you, where the sit bones. Get that firm setting. Can you hear me okay? All right. And then relax your shoulders. If you'd like to close your eyes, do so. And then we're going to just start some deeper breaths. So just breathing in to the bottom of your lungs and exhale. We keep those shoulders relaxed. Breath in. Exhale out. Breathing in. Focusing on our breath. Let everything go. And from here, we usually just start, you can open your eyes if they were closed, and let's just take a big stretch, just forward with your, from here. You can come forward. And slowly come back up. And then we're going to stretch again, this time a little bit, lean towards your leg. And then slowly come back up and breath in, exhale, come towards your other leg. Slowly coming back up, keeping your hands on your knees. Let's just circle around. We're warming up our back and spinal area. And then the other way. Coming back to a seated position here, sitting up. We're doing a cat-cow in the chair, so we're going to breathe in, lift up your chest, and look up, squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then round down. And one more like that. And round down. And keeping your shoulders relaxed. Now we're going to do circles back, big circles back. So we'll do 3 back and 3 forward. Okay, relax your shoulders. Now take one shoulder and just come forward and back. We get so much tension in our shoulders, from driving and worrying, all the things we spoke about earlier that Dr. Gebhardt and Laura talked about. And let's take your other shoulder forward and back. And then we're just going to move them up and down. A little bit of wiggling and jiggling. Okay. So let's now focus on our neck area. The other area we hold a lot of tension. Just drop your chin. And slowly come back up. Look back. And again. Okay, now just look to the side. So getting those nice even stretches, nice and easy. Then half a circle down, you're taking your neck from one side to the next, nice and easy. And back, looking forward again. Let's take our arms now. They take one arm and just bring it across. So you're taking it above your elbow across and you're stretching and opening your back. And down. And the other side. And then we're going to take our hand up and elbow, get a hold of your elbow, and just come over to the side. And the other way. And then come back down and hands on your knees again. Let's do another stretch forward. Coming back up. Let's lift up one leg, if you can do that where you're seated, and just circle your foot. And then the other side. Okay, so we really warm up all areas of our body. So let's just come up on your toes and back down on your heels. So ankles, we get stiff sitting. Ankles and feet and toes. And then toes up and toes down. And then a little bit of out and in. Okay, good. So now we'll do some other stretches. Just bring your legs out if you can a little bit when you're seated. And keep your backs nice and straight. Bring your hand on the inside of your one leg and just stretch up. I know there's a little bit, you need a little space. You have to coordinate with your neighbor and stretch that way. And this next stretch, if you have enough space in front of you, you would lift up and come all the way down. up again. And down. Come back up. Now, there are different positions that you do in regular yoga classes that we, adapt to the seated position. And I'm just going to show you, let's see if you can do the salutation to the sun. I know that's one thing I know I gave up long ago in the regular yoga class. But this one, we would just come at our heart and lift up to the sun. Come back down towards your legs or towards your toes. And then if you can bring them back and to the toes. Up again. And back at your heart. Okay, so I think that's a little demonstration, salutation to the sun beginning and the end. And then we will do some, just towards the end again, some nice breathing and relaxing where you're just breathing in. And again, relax your shoulders. And again, breath in. Relax your hips. Breath in. Relax your knees. So we get tension. And breath in, relax your ankles and feet. And then a little twist to the side. Look over yours. And a little twist to the other side for stretching our spines. And I usually like to end with come out with your arms, stretch them out as much as you can where you are. And then just bring all that energy everybody brought, wrap it around yourself. Give yourself a big hug. Did all this. And finally we come together with Namaste. In that Sanskrit interpretation, the divinity in myself bows to the divinity in you. And that's it. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Wow, that was really powerful. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling so relaxed. So, and then you know what I'm doing? I'm going to start doing it every day at home because definitely as a physician, we need to decrease the level of the stress. Dr. Gilbert, are you agree with me?
I do.
Okay. So if you have any question, please write it down. Our colleagues and friends can just grab the paper and then I'm going to ask the questions. Please do not, if you have a question, that's the only way we can ask. We are not going to ask the verbal questions, so we are putting in the writing and then we are going to ask from the panelists. Okay, so while you are writing your question, I can tell you one of my personal story. So I remember, thank you so much. I remember that, 6 years ago, I just, recently joined to the Torrance Memorial. I remember I had a patient that, I didn't see him for 1 year almost. And then he came back and said, Dr. Zayan, I said, where are you? I didn't see you for 1 year. He was a 76 years old gentleman. And he had a lots of back pain and, those kind of the degenerative change and then in the lumbar area. So he was really kind of dealing with the pain for a long time. And then he came to me after almost 1 year and said, where you were? Just, I didn't see you for a while. And then he said, I have a family. My in-laws has a property, and then my in-laws passed away, and then we moved to another state in Philadelphia. And then that's kind of the ranch type of things. And then we have is a big farm, and then I need to taking care of the stuff over there. And even though I'm doing more kind of physical activity, taking care of everything in the farm, but I'm feeling less pain. And we're trying to understand how it's possible a mechanical degenerative change in the back spine can be better even though patient doing more physical work, right? And then we're talking, and guess what? He said, over there, I'm living like a village type of area. And no stress, all those, I'm not listening to the news, I'm not doing too much of the TVs. What I'm doing, I'm enjoying the nature, and I'm doing the yoga. And I said, okay. And then it does help you mechanical change in your back? He said, yeah, probably the mechanical change is not getting better, but my pain is getting better. And guess what? When we have a lots of different stress, our threshold of tolerating the pain is getting less, right? So that was probably the reason that, it was not really make sense to have less pain when you are doing more physical activity, but that was what happened to that patient. Okay, I have few questions here. So, first question is, what is the most beneficial meditation? Hatha, I don't know what is a hatha, but I think that's a question for Laura or Sharman.
Okay, was that Hatha, H-A-T-H-A?
Hafa.
Hatha, okay. So there are many types of meditations. I'm not sure if you asked that question, but I hope you're still here. There are many types of meditations. There's mindfulness meditation where you can be even brushing your teeth and doing it. It's being in the present, like I am now brushing my teeth. I'm feeling the yummy shampoo in my hair and smelling the smells. That's a meditation. So there's a visualization meditation. There's, like I mentioned, where you're visualizing. There's also mantra meditation, which I think is brilliant because it doesn't matter what your mantra is. It's a mind vehicle. It's something that you say over and over again mentally to stop what a lot of people call the monkey mind, the chattering mind. It's mind-blowing, no pun intended, that we tend to think the same thoughts over and over again, and then that can feed what Dr. Gelbert was talking about, the what-if syndrome a little bit. So just to stop the quiet, stop the mind a little bit. Now, we can't stop all thoughts, right? But we can detach. So everything works better when it's unplugged for a moment. And that's what I think of meditation. Meditation for me lets a little bit of steam out of the kettle of my stress of the day. It gets me a little bit of a vista, like a little bit of, if you've ever hiked to a top spot and you've looked down, you get a little bit more perspective. That's what meditation does for me. And so I don't like to tell people there's one type of meditation they have to do or they have to sit in a certain way. It has to feel yummy. It has to feel like a dessert for you. You can lay down and meditate. You can sit up and meditate. You can brush your teeth and just mindfully focus on it. You can even take a break at work. I'm not kidding you. If you're having a really stressful day, you can take a break at work, go outside, put your hands on your heart. Nobody will know what you're doing really. And just inhale, I am breathing in. What are you breathing in? Peace? I'm breathing in happiness, even if you're thinking like, my coworkers drive me crazy. I'm breathing out stress. Do you see what I mean? You can do that 5, 6, 7 times, and it can help you defuse something in your mind. So the type of meditations that I have been trained in is visualization and mantra, and mindfulness. Now, the mindfulness training I took was really more about how to get back into the present moment so I can have fun. And so it's a little bit of what I call a shift. You know, I'm old enough to like if anyone had DJs back in the day, like at your high school dances, the DJs, and they go, doo, doo, doo. And I think of that in my mind. I go, because I've got something going on in my mind. I got to rip it and stop it for a minute. And so mindfulness does that for me. So if I'm not present with my kids and they're talking, that's when I know, oh, I'm off in some other planet. Like if I can't hear what my colleague is saying, if I'm worrying about what I'm going to say or how they're going to hear me and I'm not really listening, where am I? Who's here right now? So then I take a deep breath and I say, I'm right here, right now. That's another mindfulness tool I didn't tell you about. So for me, the type of meditations in my book are all visualization, because it was created during the pandemic as a gift back for people who couldn't travel and who were going to the hospital a lot. I can look at a beautiful place. I can read a little bit about what I need to do, roll my shoulders, take some deep breaths. And then for 5 minutes, I can visualize being there. And then there's mantras. One is so hum that I love, which means I am. You put your phone on 5 minutes. You can listen to some nature sounds on your phone, or just listen to the air conditioner in your house. And you inhale to so, and you exhale to hum, and it means I am. And you do that over and over again in your mind. And then whatever comes in is like a whisper from the universe telling you what you already are, but you need reminding of. And you bring it in like you would do to a best friend or a child. I am enough. I am deserving. I am calm. I am patient. I am aware. And you just bring that in for 5 minutes. And then you're amazed by how you feel afterwards. So I didn't quite answer the question thoroughly, but what I'm trained in are in those 3 modalities. There are other types of meditations, like chanting is a form of meditation, but I didn't want to do that here. You can look that up. The beauty of chanting meditation, and then I'll pass it to the next question, is that it activates the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve there's 2 pathways down the sides of your throat, and then it goes down into really almost every organ. And when we calm down and activate the vagus nerve, it stops sending out cytokines. And those are proteins that spark inflammation. Isn't that amazing? So you can activate your vagus nerve from humming, singing, chanting, laughing. So these are all types of meditations too. There's actually a laughing meditation, but I would rather watch a really funny movie, right? So anyway, thank you for your question.
Okay, so the next question is, any research regarding alpha wave training? I think that would be a good question for Dr. Gilbert.
Alpha training? Alpha wave training? Unfortunately, I'm aware of it, but I can't really speak to any research on that.
Yeah. Okay, so anybody have any specific answer to that question? No? Okay, so the next question is it a stress or anxiety I'm feeling? So I think that the question is referring that the difference between stress and anxiety, and I think maybe Dr. Gilbert also can answer this question.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really good question. You hear me? Maybe one place to start is, I should have said this at the beginning, all stress is not bad. Some stress is beneficial. Some degree of stress. Before I give a talk like this, I get a little stressed, or a lot stressed sometimes. And it actually helps. It helps me get ready. It helps me get prepared. make sure I'm prepared, and kind of motivates me a little bit. So just first off, all stress is not bad. Anxiety is same with anxiety. That's why I brought that up. Everybody feels anxiety, and anxiety exists on a continuum from low anxiety and let's call it, I hate using the word, but we use it, normal anxiety, all the way down to severe anxiety, which is dysfunctional. So maybe that's the key, is when anxiety causes you to not be able to do the things you want to do, then it becomes more of a psychological problem than it is just a reaction to what's happening in. But stress and anxiety are cousins, and anxiety is kind of a result often of stress, and it's also a result of that thinking that I was talking about. That kind of distorted thinking creates those body feelings we were talking about, and then turns into some level of anxiety.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gilbert. And the next question is, how is cortisol measured? So I might be able to answer that question. So we usually have two different ways to measure the cortisol. One is a very famous one draw blood, and the other one is, I know that some people are doing it through the saliva. So, but then the one that is really can be a kind of diagnostic is the one that we give the patient a specific dose of dexamethasone or a steroid, and a very specific time after the challenge dose, we will do the blood round, and then we will see the response. And then it's usually for checking if there is some adrenal issue, adrenal tumor secretion, or something like that. But the answer is usually two common ways. Is just one is the blood draw, and the other one is saliva, which is more doing it saliva, blood test done. So the next question is, any opinion about ABT, the vibration plates? I don't know what is that. I don't know if any of panelists know about that. Yeah, ABT, Apple, Boy, Tom, no? Yeah, and then the vibration plates. No? Okay, I never heard anything about those. Sharmon, have you heard about anything? No? Okay. So good things to go and just, search about that. And somebody said that I have a stalkers. This is annoying. So I probably guess that that's the question about how I can deal with the anxiety of stalkers. So anyone can give any answer? Stalkers? Stalkers, yeah.
One, call the police. Two, this is really important actually. Two, trust your feelings and trust your gut. Okay? Mm-hmm. That goes with that number one. So don't be caught. If you're feeling worried, nervous, anxious, scared, then don't judge your feelings. Remember I said earlier, your feelings are always correct, and your feelings are based on your thinking. And if you're sitting thinking, this person's following me, this person's calling me, this person's doing whatever, I'm afraid they're going to do this, that's a different kind of what if. Okay, mm-hmm. It could be realistic. So maybe one is trust your feelings. Don't talk yourself out of it, and don't let someone else talk yourself out of it. And do the things you need to do to protect yourself, including back to one, call 911. Yes, ma'am.
Can I recommend a book?
Yes, please.
It's called The Gift of Fear, and it's by Gavin Rebecca. And I read it years after I was stalked, and the stalker actually fulfilled what he planned to do. So, but when you read the book, it affirms just what you said about intuition. The lady's coming home with her groceries, and a stranger comes up and offers to help her take her groceries to her house.
Yeah, that's a great. So say it again, and I'll repeat it.
The Gift of Fear.
The Gift of Fear.
And the first name is Gavin.
Gavin.
And then his last name is D-E space capital B-E-C-K-E-R.
D-E-B-E, say B-E,
D-E-B-E-C-K-E-R.
oh, Becker, DeBecker, Gavin DeBecker. Yeah, so read that book, trust your feelings, and, pay attention to your environment is the other piece at all, at all time. I'm from New York, so we learn how to pay attention to the environment. And my kids are grown now, but I remember being with my kids, and I'd be looking for here and looking for that, and they'd be saying, "You're so paranoid. You're so worried about it." But, and I don't think they were correct completely, but it also helped to be able to trust what I was feeling, and I'd rather be safe than sorry type thing.
Yeah, it's very important. Actually, I was talking with one of my friends who is a psychologist, and she was trying to explain to me that, I had something I was explaining to her, and I said, "No, I think I was wrong." He said, "No, you were right. You need to trust your gut. What you were feeling, it was not, if the person says no is not true, probably you are true, and he's just trying to deny it." And so glad that he heard exactly the same thing from Dr. Gerbart. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I have something to add because that's happened to me in my early days, and even here in the South Bay. And what I can say is that if you can hear.
Do you want to come here?
If you ask the person, if you know the person, and you set a boundary, and they push through that boundary, that's all you need. We're allowed to say, "I'm not comfortable." We're allowed to say, "I'm really sorry, I don't feel the same way." You're allowed. So if someone is pushing that boundary, their car's always parked outside your house, they're taking pictures, they end up where you are, they know your schedule, that's way past the boundary. And anyone in the police will back you up. They'll respect you, they'll help you. So don't feel, even if you're friends with the person, don't feel like you're hurting the person's feelings, because your safety is important, right?
Absolutely true. Yeah. So I think we are concluding today's very amazing lecture about the stress, and with the very amazing. Okay. Do you want?
Okay, we're going to give away 2 copies of my book. Yay! Okay, so this is called The Art of Flow, Mindful Mini Meditations. It is my photography as well as my meditations, as well as a journal in the back, because I believe when you journal after you meditate, you're not just sort of writing down everything you're stressed out about. You've calmed down and you're writing a little bit more from heartfelt intentions. So I'm happy to give some of these away. And so everyone who signed up to get a copy, I put a number beside your name, okay? And so the first book will be given away by Charmone. She doesn't know anyone who signed up. I'm just going to ask her to give me a number between 1 and 9. She's just going to close her eyes and think of a number.
7.
So read who 7 is.
Who's 7? 7 is Charlotte, Maya, Charlotte. Okay, you won the book. Yay.
Okay. You get to choose the next one from 1 through 9. Read it.
Margaret Bradeen. There you go.
Very nice. Okay, So thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you have a lovely rest of your evening, and I hope that you have very low stress life with a lots of joy. Thank you, and thanks to all the great lecturers, Dr. Gilbert, Laura, and Sherman.